guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, we're making a fantastic side dish to go with your roast pork loin if you are making it for Easter. We're doing a Parmesan roasted potato with a chimichurri, and it is so fabulous. You can serve these with any main, whether it be the roasted pork loin, any roast of any kind, grilled fish. They're fantastic on their own with a ton of other vegetable dishes. If you want to do like an all vegetarian table, they're just delicious. And I don't think anyone can have too many roast potato recipes. This is just one of the easiest, but so delicious. And depending on what you put in your chimichurri, you can really change up the flavor profile. But for me, I just love that bright, sort of sharp, pungent herb and vinegary deliciousness with the crispy, wonderful potatoes. Let's get started. I typically only do this with either all fingerling potatoes, Yukon Gold fingerling potatoes, or like the little red skinned potatoes. I was at Wegmans, which doesn't happen often, and they had this beautiful bag of mixed potatoes, fingerling, red skinned, and then they had these gorgeous purple as well. I'm going to do the purple ones. I'm going to cook them separately just because I don't want them to bleed into everything else and possibly discolor my white potatoes, but you don't have to do that because trust me, I wouldn't if they were not in the bag. I wouldn't definitely not be buying purple potatoes. So add your potatoes. The only important thing here, whether they be fingerling or red skin, is that they're all the same thickness when you cut them because you want them to cook evenly. I have my oven preheated to 400. I'm going to put them in a pot, bring them to a boil 5 minutes, and drain. I'm going to boil these for 5 minutes, put them in a colander, and then I'll add my purple ones and let them boil for 5 minutes and put them in the colander, and then we'll pull together, everything we need to mix them with before we pop them in. Okay, my first batch cooked for 5 minutes in boiling water. This is why, by the way, I did the purple separate, because look at how it totally changes the color of the water. And what I didn't want to do is discolor the potatoes, all of my potatoes, with that color. Otherwise, you have that green looking potato, and we don't want that. Although delicious, I don't want green potatoes. I'm going to add them to a bowl. Really important to let them drain well. I'll do this in 2 batches. I've got another minute or so left on those. To your potatoes, you're going to add olive oil, King, of course. Did I tell you my oven's preheated to 400? Because if I didn't, my oven's preheated to 400. Lots of black pepper. Now, I also added salt to the boiling water, so I'm not adding too much salt now, but the boiling water should be well salted. And this is just, you can use any garlic and herb seasoning of your choice, or you can make, you can take granulated garlic, granulated onion, a little bit of rosemary, a little bit of oregano, a little hot chili flake, boom, and you've got the same thing. Add it to that, and then you're going to add a good amount of parm. You can add some romano if you like a really sharp flavor, a little pecorino. That would be absolutely delicious. It's totally up to you. Add a good amount. Give them a really good stir to toss around. Perfect. Let me just move everything out of the way. Timer's up, which means these got to come out. They're just going to go right in here into that same strainer just to sit there for a few minutes. I have a baking sheet with parchment paper, just easier to clean, nothing sticks. Very important to make sure that your potatoes are going to be going face down in a single layer, okay? Otherwise, if they overcrowd and they're all on top of each other, you're not going to get good color. You're going to get lots of steaminess, but let's face it, you're not going to get really beautiful color. And you know me, I like lots of color because it also provides texture. So just put them in a single layer as best as you can. Take whatever is left over of the parm and seasoning and just add it to your baking sheet. I broke my own rule. The purples are just going on the side. I am absolutely not going to go get a new baking sheet. It's not going to happen. In a hot oven, 400, 35, 40 minutes. It all depends on the size of your potatoes. If you cut them really big, they're obviously going to take a lot longer. Every oven is different. Of course, some can take a little longer, some may take a little bit less. You can do these in an air fryer if you wanted to. I think you could absolutely get away with it. The only thing is that if you put them in an air fryer, a lot of air fryer, the traditional ones that are not like a toaster oven, the one that I have is kind of like an all-in-one toaster oven, you can fit a lot more. But if you're using a traditional one with that little basket, you're going to have to do them in batches because otherwise they'll all just sit on top of each other. in a hot oven. I'm gonna wash my hands and then we make a chimichurri. Okay, for the chimichurri, wow, that is a sharp and strong shallot. Woo! Wow, finely mince a shallot. You can do this all in a food processor if you want to. I am gonna do the herbs in my little mini chopper with the garlic, but I just figured I would chop up the shallot, but now I'm like really regretting it because it is just straight fire, my friend. I change the herbs all the time when it comes to chimichurri just because I like it and it changes the flavor profile and it's fantastic. Today I'm using parsley, which of course my grocery store only had curly parsley, which is really not my favorite, but it'll do. Just make sure you get rid of the tough stems. The little thin, tender stems are fine, but like this little guy right here is a bit too thick, but these little guys are perfect. I'm going to do a mixture of parsley and dill. Just because I love dill, I think it goes so great with lamb. It goes really great with pork. It goes great with fish. It goes great with vegetarian options and fish. It's just fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and do half and half. I'm going to add them to a mini chopper along with a few cloves of garlic and get them finely chopped. Not a paste, but like a fine chop. I ended up doing them in batches just because I didn't want to overcrowd my little Maggi mix here. Just add it all in. If you were doing this in a food processor, you could just do it all at once, obviously. But, oh, that smells really good. So good. You have to love dill to add this amount. And if you don't, you could do parsley and some mint. You could do all parsley and fresh oregano. You could do parsley and cilantro, and instead of adding all vinegar, you could do vinegar and lime juice. Very simple. You're just looking for a very pungent, herby, vinegary sauce. That's really all you need. My vinegar. You need red wine vinegar, at least that's what I like to use. A pinch of hot pepper flakes for some heat. A good amount of vinegar, because this is really important. It's not pesto. This is a very sharp green sauce. And some olive oil. I made quite a bit because I love chimichurri and I love to keep it on hand. And I love it with just about everything. I'm gonna have to add definitely some more because I used up just about a half a bunch of herbs of each herb. So salt, and I'll do a bit more. Vinegar. And then I'm gonna set it aside until the potatoes are ready. Potatoes are done and they look absolutely gorgeous. They did take closer to about 40 minutes. Oh, look at that crust. See that? Oh, look at those. How beautiful. Absolutely obsessed. Look at this one. Look at that. That just begs to be eaten on the side of that roast. Oh, some nice, beautiful, crisp greens of some sort alongside. And it's just going to be perfection. It's really a phenomenal dinner, not just for Easter or a holiday, but for any gathering. In my humble opinion, I like my potatoes nice and crisp with lots of color because that, my friend, is flavor and texture. They're so hot. Ow, as expected. They're so hot. But honestly, don't mind my oven fan. When we finish these with that chimichurri and a little chili flake and a little bit of parm, all together is quite possibly magic. Magic. You take that chimichurri, a little. Now I made a lot because, as I've told you earlier, it is so good as a marinade on fish, on a roast, on a grilled steak. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will see and you'll know that I make chimichurri super often. And I will definitely be serving some of this alongside because it also goes fantastic with the pork as well. Some of that. A lot of this. And a little bit of red for heat. And I also like extra black pepper and extra little sprinkling of salt. I mean, it is just goodness on every level. I just want a bit more chimney. I've had my eye on that guy right there. Some things are just simply too good. Too good. And if you know me, we've talked about this around St. Patrick's Day. I love a spud. I love a potato in any and all forms. This is just absolute heaven to me. Go to laurainthekitchen.com for the written recipe. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me. I will see you the next time. Please make these. You have to. Oh.